Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome
back
to
Carpool
Crash
Course.
Today's episode is about
Fairy
tales. Oftentimes, the fairy tales that we know today are inspired by real-life events that transformed over the years to create an iconic story. Throughout the progression of the several versions of the fairy tale Rapunzel, the moods of darkness and gore prevail.
So what, Mary?
Revealing that society is inherently attracted to the tragic and taboo nature of gruesome themes.
Wait a minute. That sounds like a thesis. So, what is that real life story?
In the case of Rapunzel, many people think that Saint Barbara, the daughter of a wealthy Roman merchant in the 3rd century, was the inspiration for the story. The life of Saint Barbara was in many ways very similar to Rapunzel, in that her father locked her in a tower because she desired to convert to the new Christian belief that was arising at the time. And despite her father's insistence on Barbara being locked away for much of her life, Barbara still managed to secretly convert to Christianity and learn about it from the confinement of her tower.
No way.
Yeah.
Saint Barbara respect.
So how did she secretly learn about Christianity?
Not only did she receive help in the form of secret messages from strangers, she also had a hidden symbol literally within the walls of her tower. She had a 3rd window put in to represent the Holy Trinity. However, after her father realized the implication of the windows, he found out about her secret faith and beheaded her.
Oh my god.
R.I.P.
Talk about a strict dad.
After her death, Barbara became a martyr and a saint for her devotion to the Christian faith against all odds.
The story also sets an important continuing aspect of all the versions of Rapunzel that we're going to talk about, inherent darkness within the story. That connects back to our thesis, almost.
Oh my god,
Interesting
our
how it
thesis?
does that.
Our thesis?
Since the origin story of Rapunzel is so dark and gruesome, all the prevailing fairy tales, including the Disney version, which is not usually so dark, are going to continue those dark and gruesome aspects. So, do you guys know who the Grimm's brothers are?
Jacob and Wilhelm.
Yeah, those guys. Okay, so the most original version, other than Barb's story, of course, and perhaps the most well-known, the Grimm's brothers' telling of the story of Rapunzel is just as twisted and dark as it is chilling. It begins in the home of Rapunzel's real parents. Rapunzel's mom, through a window, spots Rampion. She spots this Rampion growing in this garden belonging to a greatly feared enchantress. The only thing is, this garden is guarded by this extremely high wall.
You can't get in. This place is like a fortress.
It's locked.
There's no getting in.
A
No.
foreshadowing.
So she knows that attempting to receive this Rampion is going to be super dangerous. But she decides that if she doesn't get this Rampion soon, she's going to die.
Like it said in the text that it was physically ailing her.
And another important aspect is that she wants to have a baby. So it's kind of important for her to live. So in order to appease his wife, Rapunzel's dad, Rapunzel's father is like, I'm going to climb that garden wall and I'm going to get my wife some Rampion because I want to have kids too. And he doesn't want his wife to die. So Rapunzel's father repeatedly puts himself in harm's way in order to get this Rampion, knowing that the enchantress could come at him at any moment. And guess what? She does.
She does!
Plot twist.
Who's surprised?
Mary, why don't you tell us about that?
Okay, eventually, Rapunzel's father is caught stealing the Rampion by the enchantress, and out of sheer fear, agreed
Do you ever get so scared that you agreed to trade
to
your
sell your
first...
baby for some lettuce? So the husband agrees to terms in which the husband and the wife would give the enchantress their firstborn child in return for access to the Rampion.
So, the enchantress is like, all right, I got your supply. The payment is your daughter.
And they
This is
said,
your daughter.
yes. It's
I would
pretty
say.
dark. That's a pretty dark theme. Do you think that's a dark theme,
I
Lauren?
think it's been
Pretty dark.
prevailing.
I feel like
Pretty
it's pretty
twisted,
dark
pretty
and prevailing
chilling.
and gruesome and chilling and dark.
Pretty all of those
Wow,
things.
that's dark. As a result, Rapunzel grows up without the ability to ever meet her true parents and is even forced into isolation in a tower where she would spend the majority of her time completely alone.
It is also worth noting that the enchantress becomes so hell-bent on keeping Rapunzel in isolation that Rapunzel kind of grows up with this inability to ever know that she could have a better life.
You can see here that there is a clear extension of the dark themes established by the story of Saint Barbara in the Brothers Grimm version of Rapunzel. And although many of the Grimm brothers' stories are known to be incredibly dark, this one is especially important to the analysis of Rapunzel because it stems from a real-life source, revealing that this darkness is inherent in society and thus something that many people have a true interest in.
Moving on, beyond all the Brothers Grimm stuff, I think the most current version of Rapunzel is Disney's Tangled. Princess Rapunzel has this magical hair that has powers of eternal youth. Mother Gothel is obsessed with this eternal youth stuff, so Mother Gothel kidnaps her, and she locks her away in the tower for her whole life just so she can stay young forever. Rapunzel, she turns 18 and she wants to know about life outside the tower. So she meets this guy, Flynn Rider, similar to the prince who found Rapunzel in the Brothers Grimm story, and Rapunzel escapes with him. However, in contrast to a lot of other Disney movies that kind of sanitize down the Brothers Grimm version, Tangled is surprisingly dark and gory and gruesome.
Flower, gleam and glow. Let your power shine. Make the clock ring.
Gothel broke into the castle, stole the child, and just like that, gone.
Mother Gothel so desperately wants to be young forever that not only selfishly, but impulsively, she steals a baby. This is arguably the darkest moment of the film. Not only is she stealing a baby, but the mood of the clip is so haunting and disturbing in and of itself. There are other ways to get Mother Gothel to have Rapunzel's powers, or just to have Rapunzel, like in the Brothers Grimm version, but Disney chose a darker route, feeding the idea that there is great appeal in gruesome, gory, dark themes.
This would be a great time. Let's go to Sarah in the studio for a comparison on the Brothers Grimm version and the Disney to see how it all ties together.
Sarah,
You got this!
take it away, baby!
In order to fully understand both versions of the story, we must first delve into the origin of the original. The brothers Grimm, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, considered themselves to be realists. Soon becoming interested in folk literature, they found a deep appreciation for folk poems due to the raw and emotional portrayal of human life. Because of their realist nature, the brothers Grimm wrote graphic stories that explored the entire spectrum of human emotion, from joy to sorrow to hope and fear. The stories did not hold back in discussing disturbing events in graphic detail. Many of the Brothers Grimm tales were banned because of their disturbing and dark subject matter and for fear that children would become violent upon reading them. For this reason, it is interesting how Disney's Tangled adapted the original Rapunzel story to make it a more child-friendly version. However, Tangled still maintains the darkness present in the original Brothers Grimm version, minus some of the adult themes. Despite the plot differences, both stories portray the dark theme of isolationism. Rapunzel in both versions is confined to a tower with zero contact with the outside world except for Gothel/Mother Gothel. This causes Rapunzel to be extremely underprepared for the real world. In both Brothers Grimm version and In the Brothers Grimm version, Rapunzel becomes pregnant and subsequently must take care of herself and her children in the wilderness. In Tangled, Rapunzel, after being locked up for so many years, initially has no idea how to navigate the real world. Her common sense is underdeveloped as she has been cooped up all her life. The theme of isolation leads to the moral that isolation and overprotection from the outside world leads to detrimental consequences and a lack of preparation for adulthood. Additionally, themes of deception are prevalent throughout the entire story, as Mother Gothel/Gothel continuously deceives those around her. And that has been Carpool Crash Course. Thanks for watching!
Let's get out of this car.